Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe I'm back with another episode of Systems of Existence? Today with one of my favorite systems actually, which is numerology, and I brought on one of my favorite people to talk about numerology with, which is Natalie, Power in Numbers. She's a genius, and literally her Instagram and everything she shares on there based on numerology, it's amazing. It's like a rabbit hole. And we've been friends for a few years now, and I'm really excited for this conversation because we went into so many different rabbit holes, but specifically into the numerology of today as I'm uploading this episode, which is 9/9 in the ninth month, and we are in the ninth month, so basically also into the numerology of September and the upcoming year, and also September 2025. So we went into many different areas, and yeah, I'm really curious to see and feel how, and hear basically how you resonate with what we are going to share, and also what you've been going through, because I know that I'm meant to give you an update on why I've been so MIA, why it's been such a gap between the episodes here on Systems of Existence. I'm also not sharing any forecasts right now. I've been really plugged out, and it is due to a few things that have been just piling up, and the last few weeks have been really Uranian, I want to say, for me, myself, and many plot twists, and I needed to digest all of that. I needed to really recover from that. My nervous system needed to recalibrate. I mean, many things. And I've been taking that time off specifically because of that, and really appreciate everyone who checked in on me. Like, I want to just say that whenever you reach out and you say, you know, I'm missing the forecast, I'm missing episodes, like, I've noticed that you're not there, it means a lot to me, and I want you to know that. It's every time I hear a message like that, it sparks something in me where I'm getting out of my hermit shell, because I have this tendency that sometimes when I retract for too long, I have this feeling of who even bothers about me coming back. And in order for that not to happen, I would love for you to just let me know when, you know, you miss me, or you miss episodes, or you would like to hear something from me, like specifically about what's going on, or, you know, whatever it is. That's all invitations for me as a projector. And there was one message from Rachel, I'm just going to say that. She basically said that, you know, out of the blue, an episode came up, and she saw that as a sign, and I saw it as a sign for myself as well, to be like, okay, wait a second. You really have to get back on, you know. It's like people are still listening, people are still paying attention, and it's still important, even if you have been off for a while and, you know, needed to take some time off. And yeah, I just wanted to say that. So I'm not sure when the forecasts are coming back. I also don't know, and I can't explain to you why I don't have the zest or the energy right now for it. It's weird, but I'm always honoring that projector energy in me. When I don't have the spark or inspiration to write about something, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to force creativity. I allow it, and I don't go against, you know, the energy here. And there might be a specific reason why right now I am not meant to share it. And maybe next week, you know, when we have the eclipses, who knows? Like, I thought this week, but for some reason it didn't flow. So I'm like, okay, then I'm just still taking a break, you know. But what I definitely felt was I need to upload the episode with Natalie today on 9/9. And I'm excited for you to hear it. And again, please, please, please let us know how you resonate with it, what's been going on for you, because we also talk about the full moon that obviously already passed, but, you know, reflect back on what happened from the full moon until now, how you feel the energy of September, of the eclipses, and then, yeah, everything else that we talked about, including like September 2025. I mean, yeah, we give you the whole spiel around numbers and energies and what's going to happen. So enjoy. and yeah, share, spread the word. And I pray that you are excited for, you know, the systems of existence basically to be back on as well. And yeah, just enjoy the episode with Natalie, and obviously stalk her afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up now with my little intro right here and let you enjoy another episode of Systems of Existence. Welcome to Systems of Existence. Yay. Today with, oh my gosh, my favorite topics, of course, numerology and the queen of numerology in the internet, as I like to call her, which is Natalie. I mean, her stuff, with like everything she shares on Instagram about numbers and numerology, I'm like, yes. And every time we connect, we are just like dismantling the codes of creation and like the matrix. And I just love that she's on here to fill us in about the energies right now from the perspective of numerology. We will dive into the energy of September, and also one thing that I get asked a lot, which is 144 and the meaning of 144 and repeating numbers. So let's dive into all of that. Before we do that, introduce yourself, lady.
I'm Natalie. I've been doing numerology for 20 years, a little over 20 years now. And I have a very unique approach, as I sometimes receive the information more than I tap into the numbers, and then the numbers just tend to align. Yeah, I love to just be decoding numbers from every angle and bringing the message that they're sharing with us. Mm-hmm.
Why?
Why? Oh, you sound like a 7. No, just kidding. Why? Why share the message? Because I think that the universe is constantly speaking to us through the universal language. And I feel like this language really transcends all barriers, whether it's religion, whether it's politics, personal beliefs, spiritual beliefs. And I really think that it helps us connect and relate to one another, again, through something that's so universal and has been in existence way beyond our comprehension. So I feel like it's a very unique language that once you really understand, then you feel even more enmeshed with the collective and like what the energies are and what's going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Obviously, you know that I work with astrology, and astrology is based on, in a way, numbers, but more so just the date, right? So like dates and numbers. And it's a fascinating in like concept to consider numbers, just because they can trap us. You know, when you think about time and the way time can kind of like trap us and can kind of make us like be boxed and like confined in a way. Yes. So can looking at numerology help us actually break free from these matrix construct, as we will definitely dive into the matrix and, you know, Pluto and all of that dismantling. But how can we pay attention to numbers without being obsessed by them and feeling like we are confined or like restricted by them?
So my biggest suggestion when it comes to numerology, or utilizing numerology or learning numerology, or just even trying to understand like the messages, is to understand that you can hold two truths at once. If you allow yourself to open up and not be so black and white, so polarizing with your interpretations and definitions, you're going to really open up a lot of doors to deeper understanding, and that things aren't working against us. Like, they're really truly working in our favor. But really it's a reversal of our own language, understanding, and what we've been indoctrinated to believe about things. So falling into, like, I guess what I call like the pop culture traps of, if you're this or if you're that, or if you see this or if you see that, this is good and this is bad. Like that type of extreme polarity really creates a lot of divisiveness and also a lot of static. And then the message is lost in translation. Like whatever the message was, which was almost neutral, it's now tainted by this, again, these polarizing influences. And I know it's in our human nature to have that type of polarity within ourselves, right? But I feel like numerology, as I mentioned, is so universal that there's such a bigger picture, there's such a bigger story, there's such much more deeper messages, and we limit them into these like very finite constructs, and we don't understand our own potential or the like how we can utilize this modality to help us expand and to become more aware and knowledgeable. And I think most importantly, for me personally, is like relate to others, connect with others. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fascinating. I think we spoke about it before, how for me, for example, specific birthdays haunt me. I always like to say, you meet people, same birthday, same energy in a way. I'm like, why is this happening? What's the deeper meaning? And I always see it. It's an energetic thing, why you keep attracting these energies. There's obviously something to it. Or, you have a specific date during the year where you're just like, why is there always something happening for me during this time, right?
Yes. And I'll say that, like,
Can you explain that?
can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, can you explain why that's happening?
Yes. So I was going to say that, like, when you encounter, like, for example, this is a perfect example that you use, like, you'll meet somebody with the same birth date and, shared similarities, right? But there's always something different or off that opposes you or that really contrasts or challenges you, right? Creates that dynamic. What I feel like happens there is that when we meet our similar archetypes, but it really challenges us, it's so that it presents the shadow expression. I wouldn't say it's like our enemy or anything, but it presents the shadow expression to reflect back to us the potential that exists within us to also have that shadow within us. Because wherever we go, we're casting a shadow. That's always going to follow us. So we cannot discard that. So when we have a archetype or a person that presents itself reflecting back that shadow, it's kind of like that gentle reminder of humble yourself, because you're not exempt from potentially also expressing through this lens, and that's what I say, like, you have to really embrace both sides. It's the same thing of the different degree, but it's still the same thing, you just operate a little different. Yeah.
I think it's for me, that's also with repeating numbers, which you can go into too. It's a message for me to pay attention, like there's
Absolutely.
obviously some message right there, and it's repeating and repeating, repeating. Can be the person with the same birthday, or again, repeating numbers where these codes are wanting you to pay attention. We can say synchronicities or something. There's something energetically that is reflected back to you for you to learn, integrate, or become aware of.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. And continue. Yeah.
Yeah, and so one thing I mean, I want to talk about repeating numbers, but before that, I actually want to highlight something we started the conversation with, because for you it's Thursday evening, and for me it's a Friday morning, which means that it's a different date for both of us. How is that going to show up in, or like affect the numerology of our conversation, or generally like my experience right here in Bali and your experience, a day earlier, so to speak,
Yeah.
in LA?
Yeah. So we'll use the example of today, right? Today here for me, I'm in California. It's nighttime, and it's I believe this is
15th
funny,
of August.
is 15, right? 15th of August. Okay. for you, you're in Bali. It's already Friday, the 16th. But when I look at the dynamics of what's going on here in my time and in my zone, in my energy field, we have a day that is a 4. A whole day energy is a 4, which is stable, solid, good for organization, good for responsibilities and getting, your stuff together, learning, teaching. It's a more grounded energy. However, you are in a different time zone. You're a day ahead now, right? So the date's going to change. And for you, it's a 5 whole day energy. 5 and 4 could not be any more different. Like they are extreme different.
Exactly what you described, I felt yesterday. Like I felt amazing, grounded, solid, like stable. I got shit together. I'm like, it's a nice energy. And I kind of started this way, but then something shifted around, I would say 12, like midday here, where I'm like, why am I feeling restless, anxious, and like unable to focus and weird all of a sudden?
Right. And 5 energy is not necessarily stable. It's very disorienting. It can be, or it can be thrilling and exciting. But 5 isn't necessarily rooted or grounded. It's very flexible. It's on the go. There's a lot of momentum to it. But if you don't know what to do with that energy, it can be anxiety inducing, or it can feel pushy, or it could feel like you're scattered, so that's why I'm saying it's so different than a 4 energy. But for some people, they thrive in that type of dynamic or energy because they're like, I feel I can do a multitude of things and I'm still energized. But then we also have to take a look at their life path, because their life path may be a challenge to the 5 energy, or a 5 might be a challenge to their life path. So that's how we really layer this. Like we have to see, for example, like I do well in a 5 energy, but I can understand how it'd be overwhelming. Your
Yeah.
archetype does well with a 5 energy. It's not in its harmonious natural state, but you can still utilize the energy. It's neutral. Like you can use it for something productive with all that potential, or you can use it to kind of like slack off and get distracted and like, end up with a lot of projects starting, but nothing really comes to fruition because you just got, here and there about everything.
Yeah. It's like my brain, when that shift happened, is just scattered and doesn't know where to start, and
Mhm.
being a little bit like very much on the spectrum and ADHD, I'm like, okay, wait a second, I need to just take a breath and focus because something shifted. And if I don't do that, then I'm just like anxiety overload.
Yeah, and I'll say something too, which I thought was really interesting. When we were trying to get on this call, right? It was like an unpredictable last minute, like housekeeping came in for
Yeah.
you. And that's
Like,
very.
of course, everything at once. And like, and that's my, I usually am very Capricorn moon, like control planning, and then unexpected things happen. I'm like, what the flying fuck, and that irritates me.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's funny because I jumped on the call right on time and I felt super organized. I had time even before to like meditate and like come back to myself and feel grounded. And I was like, who am I right now? Like, how am I like
Me.
pretty disciplined? And then,
Yeah.
but again, it's the energy lending itself for you to utilize it however you need to. So for me, I utilize it to get organized, show up on time. Unfortunately for you, the 5 was a little disorienting and interrupted your day very abruptly. And
Yeah.
you're just like, what the fuck? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know? And in a very 5 fashion, I would have said to you, which you did, you really did. It's like, you know what, Kathy, just go with the flow. Because that's what 5 is. It takes us on these like random adventures or detours. You don't know what you're gonna get, and then you're just like, you can live in the fear of like, shit, what's lurking around the corner, or whatever awaits me, I'm there for it, So it's your approach and your response versus reaction to the energy that shows up. But I really truly feel that yes, even though we're in different time zones, the energies start to move in based on where the numbers are at that moment. Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive into, which is also an interesting factor, the energy of I want to say right now we are building up to the full moon, but then also leading up into September, which was a hot month because we start really hot.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know the astrology of it, which I will highlight here too, but you know the numerology, and it's always fascinating to see how they both, yeah, they just work together and blend together and like just confirm, you know, that
Yeah.
it's going to be intense.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel the same. I'm like, I am still in the baby stages of learning astrology. And I'm doing it like old school because as you know, I'm a Manny Gen. So with numerology, I'm self-taught. I couldn't study the books or the courses because that's not what was presented to me. To me, it was like a very intuitive learning. But when it comes to astrology, at this point in my life, I'm nearly 40 now, and I've decided to go back and actually study it instead of just half-ass pick up what I know. And I'm telling, it is hard. I don't know how you guys do it, but it is such a science, an art, a craft, and I have difficulty retaining that and learning it. So when the numerology comes super easy to me, but I have to consult with my astrologers and be like, tell me if this aligns because am I losing my shit? Do I see this number pattern that kind of has us going into a vortex of, like quite a bit of a challenging time potentially. And all the astrologers, including yourself, you're saying, yeah, like we're heading into some intense energies that, they're gonna be transformative for the collective, but it's growing pains for sure. Some growing pains.
And
Yeah.
I do feel, you know, and I said it before, this entire energy is very much ruled by Uranus right now.
Hmm.
You know, we can look at other aspects too, but I just see Uranus as the ruling force here, which makes sense because Uranus is the planet that helps us break out of these Saturnian structures and connect to the divine and connect to our ultimate freedom, right? But it rules the nervous system. And, you know, in Taurus, it's very much unanchoring and like we basically so much unexpected plot twists and changes in our environment in earth and everything. And the reason I say it's ruled by Uranus is because we have this full moon that literally in a few days, I mean depending on when you listen to this episode, but the full moon in August is square Uranus and builds up to one of the most I actually want to talk about the numerology of that day, November 15. When I saw November 15, I'm just like, how, like the world, like, I don't even know, like timeline shifts. Why? Because that full moon on November 15, it's a full moon in Taurus, conjunct, the moon is literally conjunct Uranus.
Oof.
And now we have the full moon in Aquarius, square Uranus, exactly. And then again, we want to talk about September, which is also the start of eclipse season, which
Oh.
the eclipse, right, is conjunct Neptune. Like the full moon is conjunct Neptune in Virgo, in Pisces, sorry. And we start November with Uranus stationing retrograde, while Pluto moves at goes from 0 degrees of Aquarius, right? Talking about Aquarius again, into Capricorn, the last fucking dying of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. All of that. All of that.
That's astrology, and you know, I mean, people don't even need to know
Yeah.
what it all means, but it also already feels like okay, I guess intense.
And that's the beauty of all of this, right? And I know it's kind of hard to like hold those two things, like this like intensity of challenges and transformation, and also say the beauty of this. And again, I'm putting this into practice, the holding two truths that are polarizing, but like being able to hold these two truths. I always like envision these like, I don't know, I mean, this is a form of horrible punishment as kids, but I remember when kids, when they would kind of act up and they get like timeout or punishment, I would see some kids having to hold two books and just be like, that's what it feels like right now for the collective. It's like either you're gonna learn or you're gonna learn, either you're gonna be really
There's no
strong. Yeah, and I have a friend who showed me about this. He said either you're going to be really strong holding these two books, or you're going to be really smart and realize that you don't want to repeat these patterns to get you in the situation where you're having to hold these two books like that again. But again, I was saying the beauty in this is that you don't need to understand all this lingo. You don't need to like, but we feel it. Like we're so intuitive collectively and individually. And we just know something big is right around the corner. And so I say to people right now, really start listening to your gut, your intuition. Like, what is your heart telling you as well? Like, if you know, you know. Stop second guessing yourself and stop letting, these exterior structures continue to gaslight you, because you're so much more fucking powerful than you give yourself credit for. And we live in a country or countries where that is like quite a bit of the agenda. It's like to chisel away at your confidence and your self-esteem and like your belief in yourself and your abilities. But yeah, I really do think that whether you understand these languages or not, there's something in you which is bringing you here to watch these types of things, that you want to know more. So I encourage people to like continue to learn, continue to like utilize these tools, and really listen to self and whatever is resonating with you at this time.
And you mentioned before that I always go with the collective year, like cycle energy. And one thing that has been so dominant for me, in a way, it's freeing, but in a way, it's also terrifying, where it just feels this like, if not now, then never kind of energy.
Yeah.
But in a good way, not always in a good way, but in a very pushy
Right.
way, where it's like, you know, there's nothing to lose other than not trying it now, because there is not another chance to try. Like it feels like this end, where it's like, I mean, I'm bringing that example without meaning that it has to happen this way, but using money as an example, where you just knew that your money won't be worth anything next week, so you might as well spend it all now. Where it's like, what's the point in like planning too much for the future, or holding something back that you always wanted to do? Like, do it now, because you
Yeah.
might not have time. Like, that's how I feel about so much in my life, where I'm just like, I'm gonna go for it, but because who knows? Who knows? So I might as well just follow what excites me now, because I don't know if I will have another opportunity here.
Yeah. I'll tell you something, and I don't know if you share this with me, but I've spoken to a few people that are, I guess, what do you call them? Star seeds, or, whatever the labels are right now. But I think people that align with what we're learning and teaching and, practicing. And I can honestly say that ever since I was a kid, I've never been pressed to, and this is going to go against my Capricorn sun, like completely, all my Capricorn stuff, but I've never felt pressed or pushed to have like some big successful achievement regarding finances or status or my career. And it's weird then, and that's why I don't feel very Capricorn in that way. But it wasn't because I was deliberately trying to go against my archetype, because at that time as a kid I didn't know any of this stuff. But it was like I would intuitively know that as I got older these structures were not going to matter, but I don't know how I knew. I just had this inner knowing that no matter how hard I worked to achieve a title, a status, a financial, a number to my bank account, it's as harsh as it sounds, it will not matter. It wasn't going to matter.
Yeah,
And I'm here
it
now.
would be a building, right? It would be a building for nothing, like a
Yeah,
waste. I don't want. It's never a waste of time and
right.
energy, because you learn. But I felt the same. Like, I always had this major resistance towards getting a degree, where I'm like, I don't need a
Yeah.
certification for anything. Like, for what? Like, who cares? Like, who pays attention? And I mean, seriously, like, who literally cares for the
Yeah.
work that, you know?
Yeah. And I guess it wasn't until like the last, I don't know, decade is when I started to feel the pressure of like, maybe I should do something or become someone, because I had so many people around me like really pushing for it. And when I would do these things, always in the back of my mind, it was this knowing of it doesn't fucking matter. It
And you're
doesn't.
almost like, what is this voice in my head keep telling me that it doesn't matter? I feel the
Yeah.
same. I'm like, inside of you, your soul, or however you want heart, your heart is like, you can do that, but you also know that it's a waste of time. It won't matter.
Yeah. And this is a harsh message for people listening that are like those very fixed, hardworking archetypes that their whole like identity revolves around strong work ethic and career and all these material gains. And I want to say that please don't think that's like a personal attack and like a judgment that because you took that route, there's something wrong with you or you effed up. No, because like you said, it wasn't a waste. Like everything's going to serve a purpose, and that's where things are truly going to matter. I think that's where our true awareness is going to come into fruition. But again, that like incessant knowing that it wasn't going to matter. And I think these times are really truly proving that. And I find it funny that as I've opened up those conversations, a lot of people say, yeah, it's kind of weird. I felt that. Like even though I went to school and I got a degree and I'm doing this complete opposite thing now from my degree, even then I knew it wasn't going to matter, but I did
I
it
also
anyway.
I feel like that's also where all of the mental health and depression stuff
Oh my
comes
God,
from.
yes.
So many people do it because they're told that that's the only way, but deep down in their soul, they're like, I'm like wasting my life. I'm wasting my energy for
Yeah.
something that won't matter. Because inside, we know, it's all coded in us where we're like, yeah, we know that 2027, for example, the huge shift and like everything, like playing in that system is kind of a waste of time because it won't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It's like you trained your whole life for, the Olympics, and then just it's not going to happen.
I know. Then you're going to get a breakdancing opportunity and you're going to fuck that up too, you know?
Yeah.
Did you see that? I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole with the breakdancer, but it's it's interesting to me that we were reaching this point. Um and I want to say that what I'm about to say feels a little irresponsible and reckless. But again, take what aligns and leave the rest behind. But I feel like the people that are really, and this may be easier said than done, but the people that are truly enmeshed in the depression and the anxiety and the stresses of how am I going to pay off my student loan debt? How am I going to pay off my car or all this stuff? And like people don't understand like the revamping of our systems is going to be so tremendous. That stuff is going to be peanuts compared
Doesn't
to,
matter. Like again, like I know it's
yeah,
hard if you are in that reality right now, but your depth even won't matter.
yeah,
It's just numbers, talking about
yes,
numbers.
yes. If we were to like start to see, if we were to actually visualize the world in the codes that come through, it would be, I think it would really activate an inspiration that we cannot get from any of these material things, any of them. Like it's so valuable and so deeply divine and embedded in us that those things just fall by the wayside. Like if we really connected into those energies, we would understand that none of this physical, tangible, material stuff is as significant as we give it significance, you know?
Yeah.
So,
So talking about that and neurology of, I mean, everything that I saw basically explained from the perspective of astrology with November 15 and then the upcoming full moon also in August, but then also the eclipse. And again, you mentioned September also from the point of numerology is very intense. So fill us in because there was, we talked about 9/11, we talked about
yeah.
many juicy numbers.
Mm-hmm. So I've been having my eye on this September because we're in a collective year of eight. So 2024 equals an eight. I call it collective year. And eight is the big theme of the year, 2024, right? We're all experiencing it. Every month, eight is going to come into contact with whatever the collective month is. So for example, right now, eight collective year has met up with the eight collective month. It's the eighth month of the year, right? So eight and eight. When eight meets eight, it's in its home. It feels natural. It's all about money, systems, structures, all this stuff. But when we add eight and eight together, it creates an undertone. It's like the hidden energy. So right now, if we add eight plus eight gives us 16, seven would be in the underbelly. It's the number, the energy that we don't see. Seven is not focused at all on the material. So when you have two hard eights that are focused on the material and you have a seven that's saying, no, we're not, it literally, and if we think about it, 8 + 8 gives us 16. 16 is the Tower card in tarot. We are having a collective tarot moment. And it's the preface into what we're going to move into come September. So 8 feels at home with 8. It doesn't do too harmoniously with 7, the underbelly. When 8 moves into 9, those two are also completely different, because what's going to happen is 9 is the mirror and it's going to reflect back 8 energy to the collective. But 9 in September represents transformation, culmination, an end point. But I don't like the end definition, because nothing ends, it transforms. But there is a closing of loops. And if we know that 8 represents structure, systems, monies, law, and politicians, because it's also the politician number. And we know that 9 does its thing to clear house and to close loops and to start transformation that is really uncomfortable. I mean, think about what those two coming together is going to really represent, So come September, it's going to be the giant mirror that the collective has needed. And there's going to start a dismantling of the systems. It's the beginning. I'm not going to say it's going to completely dismantle all systems. No, it's going to be an initiator. Now, we talked about the 1st of September, which I found fascinating. The 1st of September, 2024, when we add up the entire date, including the entire year. So we can even keep it simple and do 9 + 1, September 1st, plus 8, which is a collective year. When we add all that up, gives us 18. 1 + 8 gives us 9. But I also take a look at the 1 and the 8 before it becomes the 9. And in numerology, 1 is the rebel. It's the unconventional thinker, like the outside the box. And 8, again, represents structures. It wants to be safe. It wants to be in its systems. So now we have the rebel and structures. What do you think that rebel's going to do?
And talking about, again, when we look at the astrology, Uranus stations retrograde on that day and Pluto moves back into Capricorn.
Yes.
Capricorn. So it's like that, it literally is exactly explaining what you were just describing. It's like, okay, the structures are ready to be transformed in September. Like
Absolutely.
it's inevitable, it's unexpected in the way that it will happen, but that's the theme,
Mm-hmm. And Pluto and Capricorn, I mean, what bigger transformation in our systems than that, right? And that literally is, like I said, the beginning of the end. Because additionally, we take a look at the 1st, 1 represents new beginnings. So we already know the whole day energy is a 9, but it lands on the 1st. 1 is the beginning, 9 is the end, if we want to keep it in layman's term. So the beginning of the end is September 1st. That is when things are like, shit's going to really start to pop off in our systems, where we're going to start seeing a crack here, a crack there, a crumble, a fumble. The systems they're meant to go through that transformation period or phase. But that is going to prime us for the next year, which is going to be a collective year of 9, which is going to be nothing but constant transformation. We're just getting it on a micro. Think of September till the end of the year as micro dosing transformation. It's a collective ayahuasca.
That, you know why? Because I mean, you can basically explain better what that means. But I, with my birthday, entered a 9 year, right? And it was already a plot twist that I am now in Bali here. And right before my birthday, I started microdosing again.
Love that. That's perfect for a 9 year. Yes, because it's again representing. So you do your personal year from the beginning of your birthday.
Yeah, August.
Okay. Because see, the way I do it is at the beginning of every year. That's your personal year. But I do know some people start to feel it on their birthday. Either way, it's again like the astrology thing, right? Are you Placidus? Are you whole sign? Whatever, right? But it works because it's about the energy. We're just using the frame and the structure to set up the scene and to explain and invite in the energies. So yes, it's going to be a collective microdosing experience from September till the end of the year. And then come 2025, it's like DMT and combo or something. I don't know.
That's when we dive deep. Hello. I mean, it
That's
makes sense. Even the very end of this year is again like a new moon in Capricorn. So it's just like,
yeah.
you have just working really with the lunar cycles and the moon energy too. But what I wanted to say about September, again, it's also ruling that, or like I want to say that that lunar cycle that we're in entering November, entering September, is the full moon in Aquarius that I mentioned, square Uranus. But then also the next full moon in September will be an eclipse conjunct Neptune. And that just screams like the moon conjunct Neptune. I mean, surrender. Like, what else? You know, like, it's just nothing, but you just have to surrender to the fucking like shift. I feel like at some point when like so much is fluctuating and like volatile, I have to laugh about it.
Yeah.
When it's like piling up on all of like, it's like, yeah, I know I can't control anything anyway, so what's the point? Like, just, it is what it is.
I love you so much. Yeah, I think I told you this. Like, I don't know if people know this about you, but you're hilarious. Like, I told you this when I saw your numbers the first time. I was like, oh my God, you are a hoot. I'm like, you should have been a comedian, like dry sarcasm AF. But
That's sometimes, but also Capricorn moons. I have my good friend Colin at Queer Cosmos. Like he and I, when we just like, it's just like fun.
yeah. And so I'll say that the word that you use, surrender, that is the perfect expression of a nine energy, which is like surrender, because I say nine is going to clean house. What nine does to us or for us, through us, is that it will help you, assist you in letting go of the shit that no longer serves. Okay, the stuff that has served its purpose, but now we're letting go of. And if we're not letting go, the nine is gently or harshly, however you perceive it, take it out of your hands, out of your
Yeah.
reality, because what it's doing, it's clearing a space, it's purging so that whatever newness is ready to come in will come in and take that place. But I don't think we're ready for the newness yet. I know everybody's talking about like the 5D and all this stuff. We are not even close to that yet because we haven't even had like a giant collective energetic purge. So how are we to just like introduce the new stuff when we can't even still let go of some of our own biases and prejudices and judgments? And that's also a shadow expression of a nine. It's like harsh judgment, harsh expressions, and seeing the imperfections in everything. And like we get that, but you don't have to live in it. You don't have to like identify and let that be your life. So I think that needs to be first. Like we're jumping the gun a little. A lot of people I see right now in the spiritual community is like talking about like how we're in this other dimension, which is great. Like I think we have the ability to jump in and out of timelines, right? We're timeline hoppers. But we can't crystallize something collectively yet because we're not all on board. We can't even, yeah.
Let's dive into the 144 then.
Oh
Along with
yeah. Yeah. So I want to say shout out to my friend Lisa because
sorry,
Lisa,
but it's so funny, but because right as I asked that question, it's 1:14
is
p.m.
it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is so true. It's 10:14 here. So I wanted to say shout out to my friend Lisa because my friend Lisa has been my witness and she's started. So this is funny. Like we've both been seeing 144 like stupid excessively throughout the day. Like in the dumbest forms, not just like on the clock, but like on the most random things. It could be on a time stamp on a video, like the most random. It could be somebody's post and it's 144 likes. It could be again like just the most random things, my receipts everywhere. It was to a point where we're just like, what the F is going on? We would easily 5, 10 maybe times a day where it was just like excessive. And we were like, what does it mean though? And like for me as a numerologist, at one point I had to stop and say, seriously, what the fuck? Like, what is this? And I had to sit with it for a while because I couldn't understand. I was like, I don't believe that only 144,000 souls are here to, like, whatever the thing is. I don't believe that we're that limited. I think that we're so expansive that it's beyond that number. But when I started thinking about it, I was like, oh shit, 1 + 4 + 4 equals 9. Again, I think the
I was
one,
just about to say it again.
yeah, and I think that 144 has been preparing us. It's a reminder of what the fuck we came here to do. Hit 2025 when we start to hit that transformation point on a mega dose level, right?
Yeah.
And I think that 144 is just so interesting to me because, again, if you look at it, this is something I teach with numerology is 4 and 8, and people argue with me on this. 4 and 8 archetypes are the strongest in numerology. Hands down. I don't care if you want to argue with it. They are the strongest physically, mentally, emotionally sometimes, but they're just really hard-headed and like think of Capricorn and Taurus. That's it.
Mm.
Okay. So they're really strong archetypes, really strong energies. And one is like very Aquarian, very Aries, like rebellious, unique, like just go getting, like, fuck this. I'm not going to follow the rules. So you have one, and then you have four, that like Taurian energy. And then 4 + 4 gives us 8. 8 again is that Capricorn energy. So you have two very strong archetypes coming together, 4 and 4, creating the 8. Again, you have the 1 and the 8 next to each other, which equals to a 9. So we
Yeah.
have the contrast of rebellion versus structure, and the
Again.
transformation that comes in with those dynamics that really clash a little bit. But we need that static right now to crack us wide the fuck open because we really are so close-hearted collectively.
And I do feel that, the 144 representing that it's a certain energetic threshold in the collective energy field, that when 144,000 energy spectrums reach that specific threshold, then that there's something flipping, where it's almost like you are uplifting the
Okay,
entire
yeah.
energy net. So I do feel that there is something to 144, but I don't think that it's only 144,000. I think it's just reminding us that if I am one of those 144,000, right, and I'm doing my work of like really, really lifting my frequency up, I'm
Yeah,
helping everyone, because then someone else that might not be able to, I'm doing it for them,
I
because
like
at some
that.
point we just need 144,000 energy bulbs, so to speak, to light up the room. Let's just say that, right?
Yeah,
And not every light bulb is going to make it. So it's not just 144 that are selected or anything. It's
yeah,
more like reminding us, okay, do you want to be one of them lighting up the room, or are you not making it? You
yeah.
need someone else to do it for you.
I like that. I don't think I've ever heard that put that way. And it's like made more sense
Mean,
than
I don't have
anything I've
proof that
ever.
it's what's right for me, because again, I don't think that you just, they are selected 144,
Mhm.
whatever. It's like everyone has the ability to lift their energy up and to help with that threshold shift, right? And not everyone will do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you are either one of those who do it,
Mhm.
right? Because it's like, or I look at other people that are completely in their slumber and you're not doing it. It's fine, but someone
Yeah.
else will do it for you. That's why, we are being hit really hard. I want to say those who choose, because we
Yeah.
are kind of like, we have to make up for all the people that don't do it.
Of
And
course.
so we
Absolutely.
are hit harder and harder and harder, because we are like, well, I said it to someone else too, we have the tools, like we have the sound healing, we have the tuning forks, we have all of the medicine in a
Mhm.
way. So it's like we have support, but it's not always easy, because if something shouldn't let you, just feeling like, fuck, now I have to purge that out for everyone again and clear the field, and
Yeah.
physically feeling that I'm.
I got full body chills as you're saying this. I swear. Here's something that you said again that's very distinct and very unique about this. And I didn't even pick that up until right now that you said it, which is like we are gonna probably have to help elevate others, right? We're gonna have to help elevate the energy. And something I know about a 9 energy is that, and I call them the hippie hearts or the humanitarians because they don't ever leave anybody behind. ever. They're the humanitarians because they root for the underdog. They root for the ones that can't hold their own, and they always go back. So when you said that, I was like, that is so true. That is so nine. That is so nine. Um, Here's something else, and I've been saving this. I haven't talked to anybody about this except my friend Lisa, because again, we're like, but I am interested and curious to know. I'm not again like a freaking master at this, but I'm curious to know, and we can go back and forth on this, what September next year brings in, because this is very unique. And everybody that knows me about numerology, they know that I don't do the whole portal things and like the repeating number portals. But here's what's fascinating. 2025 is collective year of nine. September, collective month of nine. What is going to happen when that aligns? Like, what is going to happen? Because here's what I see. The collective year of nine in a collective month of nine is going to create that like huge transformation, right? And when we look at September 1st.
I was just about to say that's when Saturn structures, right?
Mhm.
Where is
But not this September. I'm talking next September.
yeah, 2025.
Mhm.
Saturn moves into Aries. No, Saturn, sorry. Saturn leaves Aries. So moves back. It's the same energy as we have this year. We have Pluto moving back into Capricorn. And next year on September 1st, we have Saturn from Aries moving back into Pisces, which is
Okay.
interesting because it's the beginning and the end of the zodiac.
Okay, so funny you say that, because we have the beginning, you said the beginning and the end of the zodiac, right? Right? Okay.
Yes,
So
yes, exactly.
so September 1st is actually going to be a one whole day energy, but before it's a one, it's a 19. One representing the beginning, nine representing the end. So again,
Wow,
there's like
that's
these,
wild.
like the number, this is what I'm saying. Like if people really paid attention to like the layers of this stuff, the universe is literally talking to you. It's all in plain sight
Yeah.
once you start like paying attention. That's why I highly encourage people to like break away from the pop culture stuff, the stuff that's on TikTok, the stuff that is like the fear mongering, like if you're a Leo, if you're an Aquarius, this month is gonna suck for you because your relationships and like all that BS, like
Don't
enough.
be so, ego. Like it's not just about, it's like I always say that like it's the collective thing now. You
Yeah.
don't just use these numbers for your own fucking personal ego benefit and I want to manifest whatever,
Yeah.
like we are beyond that now.
Yeah, and nine is about selflessness.
Yeah.
It gives selflessly. It's about collective. It's about humanity. So breaking away from all that like just nonsense, it's going to give you enough focus and energy and time to invest in knowing yourself. Know thyself, right? That's like the big thing. Know thyself. Like truly get to know yourself and what you bring to the table. And if you feel you don't bring something to the table, like cut that shit out too, because you do. Like people don't think that they do, and I'm like, oh my God, yes you do. Yes, you do. You wouldn't be here. You would not be here if you
There's
did.
no point. I always like to say that existence doesn't waste energy. Like, what's the point of energizing your body and like literally wasting energetic potential if there was no reason for you to be here?
Yeah. Yeah. Just take up air. Just take up more oxygen. If that's even real, who knows? But point being is that, again, mega dose of transformation come 2025. I think September is going to be interesting, very interesting. September 9th is going to be even more interesting. Let's see, 9 plus 9 plus 9 gives
Oh,
us
by the
20.
way, you will love that September 1st, um, 2025. I mean, always September 1st, but specifically because of the 9 year. The sun is at 9 degrees Virgo that day too.
And then I think of Virgo as a nine, sometimes because of the Hermit card in the tarot. It's the ninth card, right?
But
That
also, like, it's not the end of the story. I can share the chart real quick, maybe, hopefully.
please.
because the nodes are also at 18 degrees, which again, 9.
Holy shit.
So the destiny, right? Again, we speak about 2025, so a year ahead. But I mean, look at that.
Wow.
9, 9.
Look at the 20. Oh my God. 27, 9, 18.
Lots of sevens. And obviously also here, that trine between, 1 degrees of Aquarius and Gemini as well. And then Neptune. It's like the big hitters are all at 1 degrees. Can you see that? Like
Yeah.
the outer planets, Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus, all at 1 degrees, like all initiating,
Wow.
like all starting. So it's like the bigger cycle of us is all starting something, while we in our microcosmos have to like surrender, because like it's like taking over, it's just what it is.
Absolutely. Can you take a look at September 9th? Because, and this is what I don't want happening. This is why I've been kind of like gatekeeping this a little bit. I'm scared that people are going to be like, oh, September 9th, the numerologist said it's going to be a portal. No, the fuck I didn't. No, the fuck I did not say it was going to be a portal. I am curious to see, because there is going to be a triplicity of alignment with the 9 energy, but that doesn't open up some goddamn portal. It's just interesting because the intensity of that energy is going to be present. And I want to know what the transformation, what the big lesson theme is on that day. So September 9th, 2025. What do you see, Kathy?
I mean, it's not as like noteworthy as September 1st, I feel like.
Okay.
What I obviously on that day, the moon will move over probably Saturn and Neptune. So it's just like initiating maybe energy too. South node, Sun and Mercury. So important lessons we need to learn from the past, I would say.
That's also
help
very
us,
9.
yeah.
9 is
And
about ancestral energy in the past and like closing those karmic loops.
comfortable, like very much like we just have to organize and get our shit together and yeah, just surrender to that collective flow here.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Do you think that come this year, 2025,
I
people are going
mean,
to be...
being that said, I think the eclipse is 2 days before, right? Yes. 7.
We'll see. Yeah, you're good about those eclipses. I can't. My head's absent
So
about those
that's like
eclipses.
obviously that's the eclipse that we have before, which is 2 days before. I think that's the real portal here. And then digesting that, because I mean, look at that eclipse.
Yeah. Yeah. See that. I love all this. Like this, the alignment. Like, how do you argue this? How do you dispel any of this? Like, this is insane. So what do you think about, well, this is kind of a specific, but I'm curious to see, because I feel like people are going to start reshifting and realigning their social circles and friends and who they consider friends and family, because 9 is again bringing back the past or healing the past or closing out those loops. But because 9 also removes people and things out of your life that are not meant to be there, um new people also come in. So do
But I
you
feel
see...
that's already happening now. I feel like it's already happening now.
Yeah.
Or like we're in the process. I want to actually you to fill us in, and again, like for me, it's the most important day of this year, 2024, November 14,
November
15,
14th.
15.
Oh man. 15. Okay, let's see. Let's take a look. November. Because you haven't told me what it is, but hold on, let me see what it is. Okay, Kathy.
Oh, why do I say this is a fucking epic day and I don't know how we like what's going to happen. So
Okay.
first of all, it's a stationing day with Saturn. So Saturn stations that day to move forward again. So the end of Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And at the same time, we have this full moon in Scorpio conjunct Uranus. So the moon represents the collective, right? And our emotions and everything. And we are already fucking, wobbling with Saturn. Stationing days are always like emotionally really taxing. And obviously that Saturn structures and all of that. And then Uranus, unpredictable emotions, unpredictable events, unpredictable, full moon like releases or something that we haven't seen coming. Then Mars is pretty much opposite also Pluto. I mean, I just, how do I
Yeah.
say that? It's very,
Okay.
you can't say anything about it. It's unpredictable Uranus energy, you know?
Yes. So here's what I see. For that day, the whole day energy, November 15, 2024 equals to a 16. We just talked about that tower moment, like that tower card. And that is what that energy of the day brings. It's like, what needs to crumble in order to give birth to something new? But like the birth of the something new, the opening of that newness is not, again, anything material. It cannot be because it has to be something that is more divine.
I
And
love that too. You know, I mean, I'm not obviously, but that the way I work with numerology is I would then look at, okay, is there anything at 16? And obviously it's Mercury right
oh,
here.
yeah.
In
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius, which is all about the new vision, the hope, like we need, you know, like
Yeah.
to connect with our trust and our, you know, we just have to build a new horizon, you know,
Yes,
like to connect to your faith because you can't bet on anything like tangible right there. So you have to reconnect to your faith here.
absolutely. And then the disposition of the day is an 8. So the disposition is up at the front. The way that I get that is adding the month and the day. So that would be 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 5 gives us 8. So we have again that 7-8 dynamic. The 7 is the primary energy of the day, but the 8 disposition is up at the front. And 7 doesn't deal with material stuff. It actually does this thing where if the hyper focus becomes a material, it will deliberately create the tower moment to remove the material, to have you questioning and exploring who you truly are without the material foundations. What is actually your spiritual foundation? So there can be a shakeup, a wake up to your own awareness of where do you stand on your spiritual foundation. Is it solid? Is it rooted in the divine, or is it still, attached to the physical, the material, the things that are not significant and important like we have created them to supposedly be? The day that it lands on is a 6, the 1 and the 5 together, and 1 and 5 also are very unpredictable, the archetypes. 1 is rebellious, it goes rogue, and 5 just fucks shit up and it just does what it wants. It's exciting, but it's also a little scary if it's, if it's a little too much, excessive. It's very expansive. Okay. But it equals a 6, and 6 is the mother, it's the nurture, it brings birth, it gives birth to something new. So again, the birthing of a new spiritual foundation is how I would see this day, but it's going to require a bit of disruption, a little quite a bit of instability. So
Yeah, I mean, even the degree point, you know, which with 23,
oh
which is a
yeah,
5.
I see.
Again, we talked about a 5 energy before, where it's like anxiety, change, like it can be exhilarating, but it can also be just like, gosh, what's going to happen? And then Uranus, it's a 7, right? So it's like this, yeah, exactly what you said, where it's like this unpredictable shift and change, and it's not, there's nothing tangible or solid. It's just like really pushing us again to this whole theme that we have with the eclipse season already, the surrender. You know,
Yeah,
it's like everything is going to be fluctuating,
yeah,
very volatile,
that's very volatile, very.
which I also want to just briefly touch on September, the eclipse that we have been talking about. I think it's on
Mhm.
the 18 or 19.
That's it.
Mm, pretty much like the 17. Depends on where we are, obviously.
Right, I was gonna say, wait, is it in your time or my time?
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty much, what is that? Uh, I haven't put any time zones in, so what does it say actually? That it will be on the 18th. I mean, again, it depends. Which again is a 9, right? If it's on the 18th, it's the 9.
Yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at the whole day though. So 9 plus 1 plus 8 plus 8, 26, which is an 8 day. So it's an 8 whole day, but it lands on a 9 day. So we have the archetype of the material, the Lord of materials, right? Of laws and rules, regulations, structures, landing on a 9 day. And 9 is like, no, we're here to be of service and to focus on humanity, not the material stuff. What needs to get removed? That's what 9 does. It's like, what do we need to let go of? What are some of your material prized possessions perceived that you can be without? Like,
And then look at it, Uranus adds up to a 9, right, in
oh
Taurus.
yeah, there it is
Then
again.
the eclipse itself to a 7, and even Mars is at a 7.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the 7 and 9 energy again, and the nodes being at 7.
Mm-hmm. I find it interesting because in numerology, 7 and 9 can be a contrasting dynamic, because 7 is introspective, inward, and 9 is very expressive, it's outward, extroverted. But the reason that they contrast each other is because 7 is about testing your faith and it's more internal and solitary. But 9 is like a collective, big humanitarian energy and it wants to be of service. So they operate very differently, but yet the spiritual components or aspects is what connects them. So there is a very heavy spiritual energy there, but it can be a little moody and volatile because 7 wants to go inward, but 9 wants to go outward. So you have two archetypes kind of like duking it out in that way, where it's like, do we stay in or do we go out? But it again, it all depends on how one reacts or responds to the energies.
So with everything that we discussed, what
Mhm.
would you give us as advice for this year, and just how we can, work with all of that, and yeah.
For this year, again, I would say get comfortable with the discomfort of letting go of your material things, what you perceive defines you, or the things that you may have done for such a long time a certain way. That's the other thing with 8, is that it tends to do a complete 180. And I said this to somebody earlier, and I said, oh, 180, 1 plus 8 equals 9. So there's a transformation point that 8 tends to hit. And that is that when an 8 realizes and looks back at all the hustle, hard work, and investment of energy, time, and resources into these few things, that now those are the only things you have to show for who you are and what you've accomplished. It says, you know what if I just actually let go and I do a complete 180 and I start in a new direction and just do things like dramatically different. 8s can do that. They just are so fixed in their thinking. They're so hard-headed and they feel like they always have to work the hardest and take the longest route to the quickest destination. And it really is like making the decision to do that 180 turn. And I even like to express it this way: the 180, we have that 0 after, right? Like after the 8, that's 0 point field. What can't you accomplish in 0 point? What can't you plant in 0 point field? You know, once you've transformed that, and that's really what happens in numerology. We have 1 through 9 archetypes, and then you hit 0 point field, and then we start back at 1. So you get this opportunity to do a major reversal. I call it the Uno reverse, to do a complete reversal this year and start detaching, letting go of those material things, those comforts. I mean, of course, we're always going to have those needs, like the things that bring us comfort and creature comforts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Taurus moon. Like, I freaking know, okay? I like my soft sheets and my bougie food. But I also know that, like, we're in a place right now where food is really expensive. My health requires me to do a different regimen from what I've been used to, being gluttonous and whatever. But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, for our collective, I really want people to start asking themselves who they are outside of these material gains and things. Like, who truly are they? And to start exploring that. And then come 2025, what I encourage people to do is to start releasing a lot of those traumas and karmic energies, like the things that are still keeping you tied to other people that aren't even present in your life, because you're literally carrying dead weight. Like you're carrying so much energy. So doing some form of energetic, or even if you want to, physical detox is like a wonderful way to clear your system out, reset yourself. And the other thing too, and this is not something that I hear talked about often, is like, give your body gratitude for whatever state it's in. Like, when is the last time you spoke to your heart? That is always my big go-to. Every time I'm like, dude, this thing has been with me since I was in the womb. It was I call this the spark of the divine. This is the spark of our creator. This is literally what gave us life. And so for us to not acknowledge or to forget that it's been cheering us on since day one, heck, even before day one, 0 point field, it's been cheering us on since 0 point field. Like, how are we not like mind blown that our heart is like literally every single lub dub is a literal like, you got this, keep going, I got you, like, so simple things like that. I think bringing awareness to self, and then also how you're connected to others and that others share these things. Like, that is the one thing we all share, right? We all have a heart, whether some of us use it or not, that's whatever, but we all have it. So things like that, like expressing simple gratitude for your heart, for giving you life, for pumping that energy into you to keep you going. Your hands that you use every day, like, your legs, your feet, whatever it is, but like that simple awareness and gratitude toward your body, because it's the
Also
vessel that
very
has,
ground.
what was
It's the
that?
ground. It's the grounding energy that we need to like to touch things, to touch our vessel, to like
Absolutely.
be in the now, and not so swept away by everything crazy that's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we can lose touch, literally, like literally and figuratively, we can lose touch. And a lot of us like now are like, what's going to happen with AI? And like, we're going to be so desensitized. Well, if you again get to know yourself and like come back home to yourself, then what is your fear? Right? I think that is the bigger message and picture here, is like, really become friends with yourself, get to know yourself, and in turn you'll understand like that the next person is as equally unique but similar in many ways, and you're not that different in some regards, but you're also very unique and distinct. We can even say that by looking at somebody's chart, like it's just so mind-blowing, right? Like, this, you do readings, you see people's charts all the time. Like, sometimes the synastry in their chart even is like, what the heck, that's crazy. And people don't realize, like,
I
you have, yeah.
cosmic poetry, it's the magic that is all around us, but we don't pay attention.
Yeah. And you have people walking around thinking they're like POSs and they're not worth anything. And what good are they? And they've not accomplished this, that, and the third. And it's like, you guys, if you understood and saw your chart and like looked at the magic and the divinity in that, like, I don't know what else that could inspire you and reignite that in you, like the awareness. So I think that is like, come back home to yourself, get familiar with your abilities, and then also connect with people, even if they're different than you. Oh my God, if they have a different fucking political belief or religious belief, like, let that shit go. Let it go. Like, I don't understand this like extreme divisiveness. I have friends that are literally from all walks of life, and not always do they align with my political beliefs or my religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs. I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, if they needed me or something, or like something happened, I'd be there for them. You think I'm gonna be like, oh no, like Becky is a liberal, I can't. Like, no, fuck that. Becky's getting help no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's it. I think that's my big suggestion, is like getting to know yourself. And as you do that, you'll understand a lot more about people, humanity in general, and also what makes you very unique and special.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's beyond also, again, those systems, those numbers, those labels, those tools that we use. Obviously the podcast is about highlighting these tools, but they don't define us. It's just our preference, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. We are all from the same source,
Mhm.
and just it's different ways of looking at things, but it's all, we are all one. I mean, that's always the message. That's also why we speak about these things, because again, we are all one. So we're doing the work for others, others do the work for us. It's all synergy, which is the energy that we move into collectively. When we look at human design, the gene keys and all the prophecies, that's what it is, to realize we are not an island. We are a whole fucking planet, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you, Natalie, for filling us in on into the numerology. Please let us know where people can find you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they can find me on Instagram. My handle is Power in Numbers, and that's with the number 0 instead of the letter O because of 0 point field. My website is natalieservin.com. So, and that's NATALIESERVIN.com. And they can find my services on there, and you can follow me on Instagram.
Yeah. Please do share so much goodness in your
Thank you.
stories and feed. Obviously, I will put all the links also down below so you can stalk her and connect with her. And please let us know your main takeaways and how you feel the energy, also like now shifting after you've listened to what we had to share. And yeah, we will be back very soon with another system of existence.